Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this September 2nd version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. We are glad that you are here with us after a long weekend. Hope that you had a great time. Hope that it was relaxing for you. You can find all of our content at EOA.network. EOA.network, that takes you to a link tree where you can find the locations of our YouTube and our Facebook and our Roku channel and our website and so on and so forth. So be sure and check that out. Here in a little bit, we are going to have Matt Valentine, an emergency room physician who lives in New Zealand right now, grew up here. He's the son of Eric and Meg Valentine, and he'll be with us and to talk to us about his life in New Zealand and some of the things that have happened since he's been there. So glad you're here with us. Hey, how are you, man?
Good morning. Good morning.
Did you have a good
Second
weekend?
Monday. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
did
Took pictures.
I mean, I didn't have a weekend. You know what I mean? I worked every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a good weekend.
Good.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
We're just busy. Like, I don't think people realize like how much goes into like just keeping up with just one school sport, let alone like
Yeah.
I really focus on two. And especially like this time of year, it's like, it's just, I mean, I was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was at 7 different games in 3 days.
Well.
Yeah.
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 Now, did EOU, what sports did, I mean, you'll talk about this, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of, it's fun. This time of year gets me a little bit tired, but I don't mind it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's not. We took yesterday off, and it gave me a chance to get caught up with editing pictures because I was like, if I let myself get behind, I'll never catch. You know what I mean? Because if I want to keep pictures coming out for all the games, as many as possible, if I get behind a game or two, then go shoot a game, then it's really hard for me to go back to game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to put those new ones in. So. It was nice to be able to get caught up yesterday. Really nice, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. And our Friday night stream went well. That was the first one of the season, and that was in Baker City. And that went fairly well. It's the first game is always a little bit of a scream to the very last minute. But it was good. Tanya and I and Benny and you came over. You weren't feeling great, but
got through it.
You trudged through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm good now.
Yeah. All right.
Feel
Well,
much better today.
Want to do sports?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak Golf Course. Meet me at the Peak. Pretty big weekend in sports around here. Let's get it started with EOU. EOU football went to Caldwell. Man, they pretty much dominated the first half. They were up 17-7 going into the break, and then the second half was a different story. The offense just sputtered. They didn't score any points in the second half, and they ended up dropping their opener to the Yotes 21-17. The Mounties have a bye week this week, and then next week they host Whitworth right here at Community Stadium at 1 p.m. EOU volleyball. How exciting is this? They beat the 4th-ranked team in the nation on Saturday. The College of St. Mary as well. So they beat Concordia and St. Mary on Saturday. They ran their record to 8-0. They're ranked number 5 in the nation. They've won 24 sets and lost 1. They opened their home and CCC season this weekend with Evergreen and Northwest. They were also named the CCC Team of the Week. I usually have a graphic for that. I forgot to put it on. And Kate Stidham was named the Setter of the Week, and she's our new setter. So things are looking really good for EOU volleyball. I believe the polls come out on Wednesday, and I'm going to say EOU cracks the top 3 this Wednesday. We'll see. EOU men's soccer beat Embry-Riddle on Sunday 3-0 in Caldwell. And then they're heading to California. They got a little 4-game stretch down in California over the next week and a half. EOU women's soccer hosts Park Gilbert on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Who puts a game at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday? Like what are they? I don't know, man. I have no idea about that, but maybe it's a pass-through game because Park Gilbert's like Arizona or California. But still, 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, there's going to be 3 people there.
In the stand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like why you know I don't get it. LHS boys soccer beat Junction City Friday 3-1. I actually got to go to the first half of that game. I did EOU women's soccer on Friday, and then the first half of the boys soccer game. And I didn't get to a boys soccer game last year, so I was pretty happy that I got to the first half of the boys soccer game on Friday. They won 3-1 against Junction City, and they host Riverside tomorrow at 5 p.m. right here in town, up Community Stadium. Interviews with the 2 seniors on the LHS boys soccer team are coming. They're done. I just got to get them put together and out. The LHS girls soccer team snuck by Junction City. I missed that game, unfortunately, because I had to get ready to go to Baker to do football. They beat Junction City, though, 1-0. They go to Henley Friday for a 3 p.m. kickoff. LHS volleyball hosted the Hannah Cashel Memorial Tournament. I went up to go check it out. The game I got for the high school for the Tigers, unfortunately, they lost to Madras, and then I did a couple of the Embler games. They beat Stanfield, and then they lost to Pendleton in the championship. LHS football went on the road and blew out Seaside 52-15. They have quite a bit tougher game this Friday, though. They go and take on the runner-up from 3A last year in their own house, Vale, and Vale is good every year. So we'll get to see where this team really is on Friday. Around the GOL, Baker lost to Cascade 36-6, which was streamed right here on EOA Live Sports. Ontario lost to Burns 42-0, and Pendleton lost to Scappoose 56-29. So LeGrand was the only GOL team to notch a win this week, which is good for LeGrand, but bad for the GOL overall. Other Valley football scores: Union beat Embler 36-20, Cove beat Enterprise 40-18, Elgin beat Glendale 52-16, and Powder Valley beat Echo 20-8. All of Pendleton, Baker, and LeGrand home games are streamed right here on the EOA Live Network. We're off this week as all 3 teams go on the road, but return to action on September 12th at 6 p.m. when LeGrand hosts Tillamook, and then Baker game will kick off an hour and 15 minutes later when Baker hosts Marshfield. So we got a double dip on not this Friday, but the following Friday. Go to EOA.network for all of the platforms that our content is available on. AM Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak Golf Course. Their fall hours for the Pro Shop have started, so go to their social media or their website, buffalopeakgolf.com, for more information, and meet me at the Peak.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of stuff today.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, and we worked it out so that our Roku channel, in the past, we've only had 1 live window, but our Roku channel will have 2 live windows, so if there are 2 games going on simultaneously, you'll be able to pick either one or the other.
Have we seen that in action yet?
Yeah.
We have? We saw?
Yeah.
We've seen, sweet.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's gonna, I got some stuff. Apparently the guy who was working on it was working yesterday.
Good.
I kept getting messages throughout the day. So, all right, well, hey, let's look outside. Look at the weather. It's gonna be warm today.
Yep.
Yeah, let's look at that graphic, Benny. Up 99. It was hot yesterday, and it was super weird because the wind was blowing yesterday too. So it was just warm.
Yeah, when it's hot and windy, it just dries you out.
Yeah,
Like,
it just feels. Yeah, it's just unusual.
Bad.
So
drink a lot of water.
yeah, and then it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be in the high 90s tomorrow, and then in the 90s through Friday, and then cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to cool down a little bit next week into the
thankfully.
70s.
Yeah. For people that don't like the heat, I don't mind it. I don't like 99, but I
Yeah.
don't mind.
I don't see any rain, at least in this particular graphic.
That's the best thing you've said all day.
I'm sure that there's some farmers out there wanting to get a second cutting, third cutting. It's like we could use a little bit of moisture. Yep.
There'll be plenty of moisture.
And just pray for no ignition No, be super careful with fires.
It's crazy though, because if you look at the flip side of that, there's so many people that depend on fighting those fires for their well-being as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like this, like.
Yeah, I don't have that feeling at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I understand the bind, but.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, glad that you're here with us. We will be back in just a minute with Matt Valentine.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
All right, we're back with Matt Valentine. How are you, Matt?
I'm great, thanks.
Good. You and I met for the first time just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So you graduated from high school, what did you say, in
89.
89 here
LaGrande High School, yep.
Here in LaGrande.
Yep.
So, yeah, and your mom was teacher, principal.
Principal
Dad,
at Riveria.
Yeah. Dad was a judge.
Yeah. Made high school an interesting experience. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids would sometimes try to explain their speeding ticket to me, hoping that I'd pass it along to my dad. So.
Like, hey, could you put
The
a
car
little
idle's at 30, Tell your dad.
It's like, yeah. What was that like? I mean, just that experience,
Yeah,
And-
ultimately it was all right. It was fine, and it meant you didn't get invited to the party so much, but that was all right. Still a good way to grow up, and
yeah.
don't regret any of that.
Yeah. So tell me about it. What were you involved in high school, and kind of get me through your professional career, if you would. Yeah.
Yeah. So in high school, was involved in probably the main group I was involved in was cliffhangers. When back in the day, there could be a rock climbing club that went out and did dangerous things without anybody being too worried about it. And then I spent a year. I was an exchange student for a year to Greece. Then I went to college in Dartmouth on the East Coast. Moved back to lived in California for a year, and then moved to Portland to go to medical school at OHSU. 4 years there, and then 4 years in St. Louis doing specialty training in emergency medicine. And then my wife and I didn't mention this earlier, but my wife is from LaGrande as well. Graduated in '93. Her name at the time was Teresa Irwin. Now she's Teresa Valentine. Had a couple of kids along the way. Then worked in Florence, Oregon, on the coast for 5 years, and then kind of got a bit of a bug, and we decided to spend a year living in New Zealand, and so we went to New Zealand for a year and didn't leave.
Wow.
So that was in 2008.
Wow. And so how old were your kids when you moved to New Zealand?
They were 7 and 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, well, that's interesting. So when did you decide to be involved in medicine?
I think it goes back to one of my other big activities growing up was the scout troop. My dad was the scoutmaster of at the Presbyterian Church, Troop 514, and kind of through that there's always that emphasis to scouting mottos: be prepared, and lots of first aid and that sort of thing is a big part of scouting, and that just always I really enjoyed that part of it, and thought for a long time I wanted to be a paramedic, but then decided to go the medical school, the medical route, and so emergency medicine and working in the emergency department just felt like a natural fit coming out of that sort of just what my interests were and what I like to do.
Yeah. Now your younger brother, what's his name?
Michael.
Michael. So he also is in medicine too, right?
That's right. He was a lawyer first, and then decided that wasn't as much fun and went back to nursing school, and now he's an emergency department nurse. So.
And he's in the Boise area, right?
Portland area.
Portland.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. No, I was like, that would be, and I've not met Michael either. Of course, I know your mom and your dad and have known them for a long time, and Eric and I are in Rotary together.
Yeah.
And in fact, he was my sponsor when I became a Rotary member years ago. And so, so nice to meet you. And Eric, your dad was on our show about 2 years ago. He was hiking by himself in the Snake River area and fell and tumbled down and just, I mean, through a set of really amazing circumstances was rescued and was able to get help and has recovered and is still now out hiking and doing stuff.
Back to where he was.
And so, but that must have been, I mean, did you come for that? Did you make a trip? I mean, what was that like experiencing that? That was crazy.
Everybody sort of living overseas is always sort of lives in fear of that phone call. I mean, we all do.
Right.
But when you're so far away, it's even more pronounced. I was getting ready to come back when I was able to talk to my brother, who had gotten the full scoop, and he said, no, he's okay. You don't need to go. You don't need to come back. He's being taken care of. But it felt touch and go, and as far as the travel goes, and I think perhaps if my brother had still been a lawyer and not in medicine, I would have felt more inclined to come back. But knowing that he was there and able to keep an eye on things, and I could come back at any time. There wasn't we weren't expecting anything sudden to happen at that point.
Because
it was a bit of a practice run for that sort of thing.
Because the fastest way back from here to New Zealand is about 16 hours. Is that right somewhere? Yeah.
It would be. There's several flights every evening that take off from New Zealand and fly overnight and land on the West Coast in the morning. So that's the time. That's exactly right.
Yeah. No, and it was. You and I were talking about this before. Years and years ago, when I was a college student, I was in a choir, and we went to New Zealand and Australia. And there was a point where the plane, where we had like a 8-hour sunset or sunrise. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, because the plane was, it was just the weirdest thing ever, but it's a long haul.
It is.
You sleep as long as you can, and you wake up, and you still got 8 hours or whatever. Yeah.
And you never sleep as long as you'd like to.
Yeah. Well, so tell me about New Zealand. How did you guys get to New Zealand? And then why did you stay?
We there was always companies advertising in medical journals to go work what's called locum tenens, sort of temporary doctors, and there's one always advertising for Australia and New Zealand. And so when I was in medical school, I was always thinking, that'd be fun to do someday. And then just things transpired that sort of that someday became now, and just the age of our kids. We were at a point where we were looking to make a change in our life. So we'd actually sold our house and our cars and most of our stuff before we went to New Zealand. So it was easy once we decided to stay to do that. We didn't have a whole bunch of stuff back here to deal with.
So you kind of thought maybe I mean, in your mind, it was like, if we decide to stay, I mean, you
Yeah.
kind of made some of the transition.
And if we'd already decided if we came back, we didn't want to stay where we were. So
Yeah.
we wanted to. And but we got there, and look, a part of the big reason for staying was it just turned out to be an environment that we wanted to raise our kids in. It actually felt like what growing up in Oregon and the U.S. and Oregon had been like for us 20, 30 years earlier, especially for kids. Kids were free to be kids. I remember we went to a parent-teacher night at their school early on, and I should say we were settled in a small town in New Zealand as well. That's where they needed doctors. And one of the teachers came out of this parent-teacher night, and she said, "Well, I first want to apologize if your kids have been coming home with any wet or muddy clothing, but during recess they can sign up to go across the stream and play in the woods." It's like, cross a body of water and play in the woods. There's no American school that'll let you do that anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We'd been living in Eugene before we came here, and a school in the neighborhood had just installed new playground equipment, and then decided it didn't meet the current safety standards, so it posted a teacher to stand by the equipment and made sure no kids played on it during recess. And in New Zealand, they're off playing in the woods, and there was a school event, a school fundraiser, and one of the events for the kids could do was called the flying carpet, which was a sheet of plywood towed by an ATV around in circles around in a field, and the kids would stand on it as long as they could. So it very much felt like you said that kids could go out the door, be gone for hours, nobody worried about them. You knew they were okay. They turned back up, and just that a real sort of healthy and free way for kids to be.
Yeah.
I love that.
So how old are your kids now?
They are 26 and 24.
So, and is
Been a
New
while.
Zealand their home? I mean, do
Yeah, as far as 7 and 9, they feel like they grew up there.
Yeah.
And,
Are they citizens? Is there a way to do that with New Zealand?
there is. They don't have citizenship yet. They're permanent residents, and my wife and I only got citizenship earlier this year. We've just been kind of dragging our feet on it. So
when
we
you
have
do
now.
that, do you get dual citizenship? So are you still an American citizen too?
I do. Yeah, we still have American citizenship.
Okay,
You have
that's
to
kinda cool.
you have to go through a process to give that up, and we haven't done that. So
Alright.
having dual citizenship feels pretty useful. So
Yeah, very useful, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, so what are some of the other things now that it's advanced 20 years, your kids are older, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how long is that? How long you've been in?
Yeah, 17.
Yeah. Do you feel like is it still that environment where kids can be kids in New Zealand?
Oh, time marches on
Yeah.
wherever you go, but I think it is still much more of a the culture is more laid back and with more emphasis on, I guess what we'd call here sort of work-life balance. That you're expected to have a life outside of your work, and so there's more. More vacation time. The way the healthcare is structured, there's a little more freedom. New Zealand has this reputation for adventure sports and crazy activities. Bungee jumping was invented there and things like that. And there's a system in New Zealand where all injury, if you are injured at all, your health care is and any ongoing care that you need is missing work and whatnot is taken care of by a organization called ACC. It's a public-private hybrid insurer for any injuries. And what that means is that if you're in a car accident, you're taken care of. If you're doing some crazy heli skiing or bungee jumping and you're taken care of. In healthcare, it's nice because if you're injured from a medical procedure, it was an accident. The healthcare system, the doctors weren't trying to hurt you. It's an accident. You're taken care of. So the flip side of it, you're taken care of if you're injured, but you can't sue anybody if you are injured.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
You can still get in trouble. Now, the person who injured you or wasn't being careful enough will get in trouble. There is a trouble, but they won't. There's not the whole big legal process around it. The injured person's taken care of, and the safety issues are addressed. So
Oh,
wow,
it's
that's
really
interesting.
an interesting system.
So what about other health insurance? I mean, so high blood pressure or I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Is there insurance for that too, or how does that healthcare work?
It's a publicly funded healthcare system, and you pay to see your GP, your regular doctor. But then, if you need a referral to a specialist in the public system, there's a waiting list. It's kind of like the way the Oregon health plans used to work. And, but then any care you get from that is free. It's paid for by the state. If you want anything faster or want anything that's not covered by that, you can either pay out of pocket, or you can get private health insurance to cover extra stuff.
What is that like as a physician? I mean, you know, and especially when you compare it to the physician friends that you know that are here. Yeah, yeah.
It's a really comfortable way of practicing medicine. You know, you're able to do the right thing for do whatever you think is the right thing for somebody, and be relatively assured it will happen. And a lot of times that means, compared to America, you don't have to do as much. You can actually give the care you think somebody needs and not have to order every test and every scan to protect yourself. Yeah. And when you do send them on when they do need specialist care for them, then you can be assured that they won't be that they'll be able to get it, that there won't be financial barriers to them to get the care that they need. So I mean, it's not a perfect system. It's a globally not a good economic time globally, and so the whole world is struggling a little bit funding healthcare. New Zealand is not an exception to that, but overall, it's really a really nice way to work.
So is the litigious burden, is that the right word, less with medical also?
Yeah.
And I mean, explain that a little bit. Why is that?
That comes back to that ACC thing that I mentioned, that if I make a mistake and injure somebody, I will get in trouble. I will be told that I have to do more training or can't do something again anymore, but they can't sue me. Yeah. But if I injure them and they can't work or have anything, I haven't done this to anybody. I won't say that. Speaking hypothetically, right. But they'll be taken care of as well. Any ongoing health needs that they have as a result will be taken care of as well. So everybody's taken care of, the problems addressed, but without all the costs and stress and randomness that a legal proceeding can bring into it.
So who employs you? Who pays you?
So I'm employed by Health New Zealand, and I have a slightly different job now. Actually, I am an emergency medicine specialist. I still work in the emergency department, but I also have a role doing digital health work for Health New Zealand at a national level. So, but pretty much most doctors in New Zealand, most specialist doctors, and in New Zealand, emergency medicine is a specialty, as is general practice. It's not really the same sort of languages here, but most of us specialists are employed by Health New Zealand. Some people work exclusively in the private system. The general practitioners, who are sort of like your family doctors, general internists here, work in sort of a kind of a private practice model as well, but the vast majority of their funding comes from the government, from Health New Zealand.
So then the incentive, do you see the incentive to whatever that might be? I mean, money creates incentive for people to be better or to be, and if that is reduced, do you see that affecting?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, you have some physicians that are just like skating along, and I don't know.
No, that can happen. When there isn't the same financial incentive to see as many patients, or that happens. In some places in the U.S., I know my colleagues see more patients per hour than I do in New Zealand, and that's okay. And there's what gets frustrating is that then systems are more optimized for that around the doctors in America than they are in New Zealand. Because the doctor is one of the most expensive parts of the system.
Right.
You see that like in operating rooms. Even the private hospitals in New Zealand that get paid by the number of cases they do, they turn over their operating rooms very quickly to move on to the next case. And sometimes in the public hospital, everybody needs their tea break, and it is a more relaxed way of working. But it has, you're right, it does have a cost. But overall, New Zealand spends about a third as much on healthcare on a per capita basis as the U.S. and has greater life expectancy. So,
Yeah. Interesting.
That's strange.
So, what other random things? I'm just kind of skipping around that people might not know about New Zealand. What are some of the things that you know?
Well, I mean, obviously everybody knows that about Lord of the Rings and whatnot, and 20-some years later, New Zealand is still cruising on that reputation. You can go to the Hobbiton movie set and tour the Shire and see the Hobbit holes that were in the movie, and go to the Green Dragon Inn, and you can sign up for dinner, and that's a lot of fun. But that is something that's known. What's something that's not as well known?
There are no snakes, right?
No snakes.
Which is that is super.
There's one poisonous spider that's extremely rare. But there's effectively nothing on land that will hurt you. The only native mammals are bats. Pretty much everything else is birds, and birds sort of evolved to all the different ecological niches that mammals did in the rest of the world.
So there's like no bears.
No bears.
Nothing that will eat you.
Not on land.
Not
Water's
on
a
land.
different story.
Waters are completely different.
Water's a different story. But there used to be a bird in New Zealand called the moa, which was sort of ostrich, emu type bird, and they got as big as 8 to 10 feet tall.
Oh.
And what was even scarier then is there used to be an eagle called the Haast eagle that was the largest bird of prey in the world, and because it fed on the moas, it went extinct because the moas went extinct.
Oh, interesting.
But there's even oral stories from the original Maori settlers in New Zealand of Haast eagles carrying away children or infants and toddlers. They were big enough to do that. They had about a 10-foot wingspan. So,
wow.
New Zealand's famous for the All Blacks and their haka.
That's right. That's right. Very.
So fun
gives
to
chills
watch.
to,
It does.
to watch that.
Even if you know nothing about the sport
Yep.
and nothing about New Zealand, when you watch that, it raises the hair on your arms.
Yeah.
It does.
No, we were lucky. The World Cup, the Rugby World Cup, was in New Zealand a year or two after we moved there, and that's and the All Blacks won that as well. So that was really cool to be in the country for that.
Yeah, they're serious about rugby in New Zealand for sure. For sure.
That's absolutely national religion.
Right. They don't even call it a sport.
Well, let's switch a little bit to the volcano that happened in 2019.
Yeah.
And so people might not kind of give us an overview of what happened in that event and where that's at. So, yeah.
So there's off the coast of the town where the hospital that I worked at, and the town that I'd lived in until just a few months before then, the name of that town is Whakatane. There's an island called White Island, or the Whakari it's a Maori name, and it's a non-extinct, inactive. It's an active volcano, but it's active in sort of like putting up gas jets every once in a while and still bubbling away, and had a few eruptions in recorded history. But it was privately owned, or it is still privately owned, and there's a tour company that did tours out to it, and there's a couple of heli tours as well that would fly you out and land it. Otherwise, the other tours were a boat that would take you out. It was about just about 30 miles off the coast. And one day, in December 2019, while there were a helicopter or two on the island and a boatload of tourists, it erupted. In a geologic scale, it wasn't much of an eruption, probably just as a hiccup as far as a volcano is concerned. But a volcano hiccuping is pretty devastating if you're on it wearing just shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And there were 40 some people, forget the exact numbers now, 40 some people on the island. Many were killed immediately or within minutes. 30 some were badly burned and had to be were either brought back on the boat that had taken out there. There was two groups, one close to the crater and one closer back to the boat. A few people. There were some of the helicopters in the area flew out there immediately and tried to pick up anybody they could, and brought them back, and ended up 30 some patients being brought to our little hospital with 16 beds in the emergency department, a 100-bed hospital, and
Oh my goodness.
and ultimately another the 30 some that came to us, I believe 8 to 12 ended up either died immediately or within. I think the last deaths from it was a few months later. Actually, somebody had spent a long time in the ICU, but the majority we were able to save.
Wow.
It was a full turnout from the whole hospital. Non-clinical people were helping. Just everybody pitched in. We got help from all over, and it really took, for a country the size of New Zealand, it was a national effort to take care of everybody. Taking care of burns is a very medically intensive thing to do. We had helicopters and planes from all over the country descending on I think we were probably the second busiest airspace after Auckland that night, the number of aircraft coming in and taking people all over the country to wherever there was ICU space for them to go. It probably would have, it put a big, like I said, put a big strain on the New Zealand system. Fortunately, the big chunk of the victims were Australian tourists. The Australians Air Force sent a big transport plane in about 5 or 6 days later, and they were able to repatriate most of the Australian citizens back, and which was sort of a relief. We were ordering skin grafts from the U.S. and all over, and people really, it was a really a response that I'm really proud to have been a part of and play a little part in as well, and really proud of what the New Zealand health system was able to do to take care of these folks from all over the world who had caught up in this terrible tragedy.
Wow. And when I looked at the island and looked at the pictures. It's not like a volcano what you would think of. It's mostly crater. The island is mostly crater, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a mountain.
Like the tip of Mount St. Helens sticking out.
Yeah, it's like the top of the mountain has been blown off, and then the people that tour that kind of toured, and the part of the blown off goes clear to the sea, and so then that creates kind of a place for people to fly in and look and stuff, and most of it was caused. It was mostly a steam eruption, right? Yeah. So then the burns were steam related, I would imagine.
Yeah.
How do you treat somebody with burns? How does that happen? Kind of walk us through that procedure. Somebody comes in and their arm is severely burned. What do you do to fix that?
First thing, we try to get a sense of how deep the burn is.
Yeah.
You've talked about like first degree, second degree burns. So getting a sense for that. It's hard to tell that immediately. It can take a few days to really know how bad a burn is, but you can tell if it's bad or not. Is it bad or not is fairly easy to tell. Exactly how bad might take some additional work. Pain control is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Burns are obviously extremely painful. There's one of the things we do in the emergency department. First thing we do is you want to get a lot of the heat energy out. So running it under cold water or getting in a cold shower for 20 minutes just to get all the heat energy out of it, so that to stop the damage, because burns will keep your skin will keep burning and being damaged even after the heat source is removed. Just so you'd want to get that out.
Is that because the liquid in your body's boiling still, or
Just that heat energy has gone into your skin and tissue, and yeah.
Wow.
And what we can use immediately to help people's pain and protect it is actually cover it with plastic wrap. It's like Glad wrap or Saran wrap, and we actually.
And what is that? That helps with the pain?
Yeah, and then the air isn't moving over it because your skin is so sensitive. And there's a supermarket close to just a couple blocks from the hospital, and one of the board members of the hospital, who's also a nurse, went to this. She took it upon herself, like, they're going to need more plastic wrap. So she went to the supermarket, filled her cart completely up with plastic wrap, and went up to the checkout. And as she tells it, the checker was just going, bloop. And she's like, we don't have time for this. So she just pushed the cart out. She just shoplifted
She's like,
the whole cart
give
full
me a
of plastic
bill
wrap to take it to the hospital. So that was one of the funny stories that came out of the whole.
But from a practical standpoint, that would work. That did work.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the final treatment, obviously.
Right.
But, the other thing that you have to be really careful of, especially with people with severe burns who've been caught in steam, is that it can cause burn injury to your windpipe and your airways and your lungs. So a lot of those patients had to immediately have a breathing tube put in to support their breathing, and then of course be sedated, which was merciful for somebody with severe burns, how much pain they're in.
If I got burnt really bad, and knock me out.
Yeah.
Like, just put me. Put me in la la land, please, because I know a few people that have had pretty bad burns, and they said it was really miserable.
I mean, just think how a sunburn is, and imagine that.
I've had a really good sunburn, like
exactly.
a good, like bubbled up, gnarly one, and it was painful.
But burn patients need a lot of IV fluids as well, because basically, if you don't have your skin, you don't have your spacesuit. You're not wearing your spacesuit, and so you lose a lot of moisture through your body. A whole variety of things can happen.
Burn victims are very susceptible to infection too, huh? Because
that's right. Again, no spacesuit, so
right.
Yeah. So there are specialized dressings that we put on, and then surgeons oftentimes then have to go to the operating room and then remove or debride the burn tissue, and it can take multiple surgeries to get all of that. So there was folks going to the operating room every day for a couple of weeks just to get rid of all the burn tissue, so that then skin grafts could be put on to allow it to heal.
So a skin graft is that artificially grown, or is that human graft from somewhere? I mean, talk about that.
So that is if you have not enough if you have enough of your own skin that you weren't completely burned.
Right.
You can have grafts harvested from other places on your skin. There's this kind of device that sort of scrapes it off like a very fine medical grade planer, basically.
But But the place where you're taking it, you're not taking it as
You're
deep?
not taking it deep. No.
Okay.
No,
All right.
It's just the top layer, and then it goes through this sort of thing that cuts it into a mesh that allows it to expand and cover more area.
Yeah.
But you can actually get skin from medical supply places. Like I said, there was a big order placed to the U.S. for a large amount of human skin to be sent to New Zealand. There are more modern. There's some really cool things that are available now, though, where a kind of can make a foam, sort of this biologic foam layer that can be with a plastic coating on the other side that can be placed directly on a burn, and your own cells and blood vessels can start to grow into that foam. And when you see that coming up under the plastic layer, you can peel the plastic off, and your skin will regrow on top of it. So
that's crazy.
There's some pretty interesting stuff that's been developed.
So then, why do people die of skin burns because there's too much moisture loss, or there's too.
When
I mean,
it's-
yeah,
Yeah, when it's 70-80% of your body,
Yeah.
it's just the shock to the system is massive. That's what kills people usually immediately, or the airway part of it. And then long term, it's usually infection that catches up with you, and just all that damage to your body can cause kidney problems, heart problems, lung problems. It's just sometimes can be too much for the body.
Well, and then even after they get healed, right, you're still dealing with like contractures and having to cut.
Yeah, scar revision.
Yeah,
and-
just you're under the blade for the rest of your life if you're burnt pretty bad.
yeah.
Oh man.
when you think back on that incident, what are you the most proud about? The team aspect of it, or
Yeah.
that New Zealand rose to the occasion? I don't know what. Yeah.
Well, and both the country and just my own, the own hospital I worked at. I'd actually been the head of that hospital until about 6 months earlier, so I felt some ownership and connection there, and the way the whole community turned out, and the hospital community and the community around us for so much support, and just what we did, what we accomplished
Right.
as together was just remarkable. We had people come from other hospitals, and some of us. I remember one of them said, we could have never done that in our hospital. We just don't have the sense of community that this small town hospital had to come together like that.
Yeah. I was, when I was there, it's been, many years ago, but I loved the New Zealanders. I just loved, they were kind, generous, welcoming, as an American. Now, when I was in Australia, there was a little bit of a different feel. There was a little bit of resentment. I don't know if that's the way, because at that time, they were getting American TV. That was,
yeah.
And so there was but the New Zealand people were just so generous and welcoming, and I really enjoyed it.
That's very much the nature of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's Polynesian people in general. Like that whole culture, anything Polynesian is like they're very rooted in family, generosity, like taking care of people, and I think that comes a lot from the Maori and like
Absolutely.
how things operate.
And that's been one of the really the best parts for I think for me and my family is getting to know that culture as well too, and seeing how it's integrated
beautiful
into
culture.
the country. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So how did New Zealand get settled? Remind me. I know the story of Australia.
So it's not dissimilar. The Maori, of course, were the original settlers, probably coming in somewhere between 800 and 1200 years ago. New Zealand was the last of the sort of the Pacific islands that those explorers found. They had to, and the stories of those explorers, what they were able to do with canoes and navigating by the stars and currents is really amazing. Then the Dutch explorer Abel Tasman sighted it in the 1600s, and then James Cook, of course, the sort of famous British explorer of the South Pacific, including the Hawaii and Tahiti, and Australia was one of the first to sail around New Zealand as well, and that was in the late 1700s, and then it became a British colony and started being settled more in the 1800s. It did take a different track than a lot of the other sort of British colonies, though. It was settled a bit later in that process, and this is way oversimplified, but part of the reason why the Maori culture is what it is in New Zealand today is because the Maori were about the only indigenous force in the world that was able to fight the British Army to a standstill, and a treaty was made between the Crown and the Maori chiefs. So that sort of set the tone for working together rather than being some of the same processes that happened like in Australia with the Aboriginal population, for example.
Yeah, decimated. Like that
Yeah.
would have happened to the Maori if they wouldn't have been able to stand up.
Yeah, yeah.
So interesting story. You know, you always hear, and I had heard before I went to New Zealand, I had heard about the New Zealand coast and how beautiful it is and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, and then once I saw it for the first time, it's like, well, this looks like the Oregon coast. You know, I mean, and which then talks about the beauty of what we have here. You know.
Oh, that's really true. And I tell New Zealanders who are coming to America to not go to Oregon. Because they're like, there's no point. You know, it's
Like home.
it's volcanoes and mountains and forests and rocky coastline and
Right.
craft beer and
Right, yeah.
you know, it's all the things that New Zealand is as well. So
Right, yeah.
you know, it's a great place, but there's not much point going from New Zealand to go to the Grand Canyon. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
they don't know. They don't. Yeah. Go to a desert somewhere. Go to. Yeah. Yeah.
But it felt very comfortable coming from Oregon to
Yeah.
New Zealand and settling there.
Yeah.
And even though I had always said that the Grand was a great place to grow up and then leave to go somewhere else in the world, where we ended up going back to, like I said, taking our kids to was a very similar small town that was
Yeah.
forestry and cattle raising and it was the main economic base. Tourism and fishing as well, and yeah, just a small place to raise your family and feel like your kids are then set and ready to go out into the world.
Yeah. We had flown into Christchurch, and then gone north up to Auckland, and I remember somewhere along the line, the forest was just so. It looked like a lawn. And I mentioned that to the person who was with us, like, what is the deal with the forest? Like, and I mean, they said, well, during World War I or one of those, that there was a force and they hired people to literally plant trees. I mean, am I remembering that right? And they had planted all of them at the same time, and so they were all
Very even. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you
Yeah.
would have been along the road there,
Yeah.
but that
Yeah.
seems plausible. But it's all just a slightly different shade of green. You know? It looks similar, but just not quite the same, does it?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that is, you know, not like Oregon is when when we flew into Christchurch and you fly over the Alps, you know, the southern part.
Alp, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's mountains like it's like the Elkhorns,
Yeah.
only it's vast amount of, and so then that's where they filmed Lord of the Rings, that area, right?
Some of most of the filming sites were on the South Island.
Yeah.
Those big sweeping vistas, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, well, that's fascinating. Well, thank you so much
It's been my pleasure.
for being here and super interesting. And now is your family with you now here?
My wife and my daughter are. Yeah.
Okay.
My son's back in Auckland, but yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry, what does your wife do?
She did ran a baking business for many years, doing American style desserts for New Zealanders.
Oh, interesting.
And now we have a small rural property, and she takes care of the pigs and the bees and the garden, and keeps everything running for us.
Wow, that's fascinating. And then your kids. How old are your kids now?
26 and 24.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And do you have grandkids yet?
Not yet. Hanging in there. We'll see.
Hopefully.
We'll see. Yeah, feeling
Yeah.
about ready. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's super interesting and nice to be able to get to meet you. I think you're going to talk today at our Rotary group. Yeah, and that's kind of how you came. I got the email that you were at the Rotary group, and I thought, well, man, we need a guest for tomorrow, maybe, and so I really appreciate you jumping in.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. All righty. Well, hey, thank you. You want to get us out of here?
Yeah. On this day, September 2nd, 1898, the machine gun is first used in battle.
1898.
1901, Theodore Roosevelt advises, speak softly and carry a big stick, you will go far, in an address to the Minnesota State Fair entitled National Duties. 1930, the first non-stop airplane flight from U.S. to Europe. 37 hours non-stop. 1945, V-J Day, the formal surrender of Japan signed aboard the USS Missouri marks the end of World War II. 2024, on this day, I threw this one in here because I love Joey Chestnut. Joey Chestnut sets a new world record by eating 83 hot dogs in 10 minutes on Netflix's Unfinished Beef Labor Day Showdown, which was because he used to do the 4th of July contest at Nathan's in New York, and there was some conflict, so he stopped doing the 4th of July, and Netflix made a Labor Day show, and he broke his own world record. The number one song in America on this day in 2015, which is 10 years ago, was Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd. And then the quote of the day, oh man, I took a lot of photos this weekend, so my quote of the day is about photography, and it resonates with me. It comes from Steve McCurry, who took this famous picture and has had the cover of National Geographic numerous times. He's considered like the god of photography, basically. And here's the quote. Most of my photos are grounded in people. I look for the unguarded moment, the essential soul peeking out. Experience etched on a person's face. One more time. Most of my photos are grounded in people. I look for the unguarded moment, the essential soul peeking out. Experience etched on a person's face. Yeah.
Good stuff. Joey Chestnut, is that what you say?
Yeah, Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, it's funny because, I didn't even know who that was until you taught me one. It was like, you don't know who Joey Chestnut is?
He's
It's
the
like,
god of eating.
It's like,
He ate
why
83
in the
hot
world
dogs
would I
in
know
10
who
minutes.
Joey Chestnut? Yeah,
and,
no.
and that guy McCurry, Kodak gave him the final package of Kodachrome film, and Vanity Fair published the 36 pictures that he took with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable for a guy. He didn't even start shooting digital until 2008.
Wow.
He held on to shooting,
Yeah.
with real film until
Yeah.
2008.
Well, that's what I cut my teeth on, was
Yeah.
Kodachrome. Yeah.
Yep, Kodachrome.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate you being here. Yeah.
No problem.
Yep. And so on Thursday, we're going to have some people from Baker City. Christopher Hobson, who is the Chamber of Commerce Director of Baker City, and a couple of his guests, a couple of his friends will be right here. Don't miss that. See you soon.